Hi, welcome to another edition of Carpenter Shop, where together we're kind of looking at some things that help us grow and grow stronger in our journey of faith, maybe grow stronger as we take this adventure that God has called us to. I hope so. Interesting snippet out of the Bible in Acts 16:18. Easy to miss, but these four words summarize a moment, a snapshot in the Bible. It says this: "But Paul, comma, greatly annoyed." Paul was greatly annoyed. Hard to believe, right? Paul tended to have that part of his personality that was always out there around. But it's interesting that Scripture reminds us that Paul could get that way. I know that I'm not talking to you because you never get annoyed. And I'm probably not talking about anybody that you're close to because they never get annoyed. And I know there's probably nobody that you work with because they never would get annoyed. And I know that no one's ever been annoyed at you. So I guess I'm talking to other people out there who probably aren't watching, so you can just be the bearer of this news. But I heard and read about a family that went to a small diner, and it was crowded, it was busy, it was understaffed, post-pandemic, not able to get the staff that's there. But they sat at this diner at a counter for a half hour with all the people buzzing behind them, doing all the things they were doing, getting drinks, cooking food on the grill, whatever, but no one ever came to take their order. Finally, after a half hour, the family just got up and walked out of the restaurant. But before they did, the dad reached over and he grabbed the ketchup dispenser and he wrote in ketchup on the counter, "We waited 30 minutes, no service." Written in red letters right there on the counter. And of course, let everybody know that he was gone and they weren't going to wait. That would be frustrating. We've all been there. Now, why didn't he ask, "Hey, could you get an order?" And maybe he did. Maybe that is not included in this account. I don't know. I'm going to assume that he probably did and he was just ignored. But a lot of us get annoyed by a lot of different things on any given day. And sometimes everyday irritations can really get the best of us if we're not careful. It's like a little piece of sand in an oyster or grit in a rock tumbler. We become worn down by the inconveniences of life: a flat tire, a lost key, a fussy child, a nagging neighbor, a broken pencil at a delayed flight, or a long wait in a restaurant. But we need to remember that when we're frustrated, here's what you have to keep reminding yourself of. Frustration is only temporary. It only becomes permanent if you don't let it go. I'll say that again. Frustration is only temporary. It only becomes permanent when you don't let it go. And so if you don't let it go, the only person you have left to be frustrated at is you. Now, like I said, aren't you glad we're talking about other people, not ourselves? And so we go back to the passage where it says, "But Paul, comma, greatly annoyed." Now, if you were to follow up the rest of the story, okay, Paul's annoyance in this particular passage of Scripture ultimately leads to the deliverance of a demon-possessed girl. So how about that? God can use your annoyance, He can use your frustration, and He can channel it and make sure it gets where it needs to go. And hopefully in your life and in my life, He does that. But what we have to remember that in life's moments, frustrating moments, one of the great lessons of maturity is don't hold on to the frustration and make sure you vent it in the right way. I don't know. I've kind of got mixed feelings about the ketchup on the counter. It's creative. I might have done it. You might have done it. You might have done worse. I might have done worse. I would like to think that I would have taken into account what was going on around me and the situations around me. I'd like to think that, but then that gives myself far too much credit for being spiritual, and so I'll just give that credit to you. But I do know this, that frustration doesn't have to be permanent unless you hold on to it. So don't. It doesn't make you better, and it robs you of the joy of living each moment to the fullest for God. It's the best advice I got for you today from the Carpenter Shop. Look forward to joining you next time right here.